Welcome to the deep dive. We got this article, AI's warning, sent in, and wow, it really got me thinking. On one hand, AI could be incredibly powerful, maybe even smarter than us. But on the other hand, that's kind of scary, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. The article doesn't shy away from that. It jumps right into the fact that AI has huge potential. But at the same time, it might not be able to actually, solve our problems unless we, as humans, kind of get our act together.
So it's not just about building smarter AI, it's about us becoming, well, smarter humans.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can give someone the most amazing tools, but if they don't know how to use them, they're not going to be very helpful. Right.
Right. And the article actually uses this fascinating analogy of humanity being like a superorganism. Think of a beehive or an ant colony where everyone's working together.
Yeah, I love that analogy because the author's point is that right now humanity isn't acting like a well-coordinated superorganism at all. We're more like, I don't know, a swarm of bees just bumping into each other.
Right. It's like everyone's going in different directions. And the article suggests that if AI were to analyze our behavior, it might conclude that we're just not ready for this level of power.
Exactly. It might be like, whoa, hold on, humans. You can't even agree on what to eat for dinner. How am I supposed to help you solve climate change?
That is a pretty scary thought. It's like AI looking at us and saying, you guys are a mess.
Right. And that leads to this super important concept of AI alignment. It's about making sure that basically AI's goals actually match our own. Because if they don't, well, things could get pretty messy.
Okay, alignment makes sense, but how do we actually do that? Is it like, programming ethics into the AI?
It's definitely more complex than just like programming in a set of rules. The article gives this great example with climate change. Imagine we task an AI with solving it. The most logical solution for the AI might be something super drastic, like drastically reducing the human population.
Wow. Okay, so that would technically solve the problem, but it's definitely not what most people would want.
Exactly. So who gets to decide what the right choices are?
That's a great question, and a really tough one.
Yeah, it is. And the article really emphasizes that global cooperation is like essential here. We need to, as a species, figure out how to define our goals, our values, so we can align AI with those.
That sounds like a huge challenge, especially with how
Yes.
divided the world feels right now. The article also talks about how AI can, reflect our own biases, right? Like with that facial recognition controversy a few years back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect example of how AI can actually make existing problems worse if we're not super careful. If we build flawed systems or feed them biased data, the AI isn't going to magically fix that. It'll just, scale it up.
So it's not just about, teaching AI to be good. It's about us as humans figuring out what good even means.
Right. And the article makes this interesting point about social media. The algorithms were designed to keep us engaged, which sounds harmless enough,
Yeah.
but it ended up dividing us, right? Contributing to all this misinformation.
It's like we didn't even think about whether more engagement was actually good for us in the long run.
Exactly. And the article brings up social media to highlight how important it is to think about the incentives that we build into AI systems. We need to make sure they align with genuine human well-being, not just short-term gains or whatever.
So on one hand, we have this incredibly powerful tool in AI, but on the other hand, humanity itself is kind of a mess. Where do we go from here? So we've talked about how AI has this huge potential, but we, humans, need to figure some things out if we want to use it right. You mentioned you're interested in this idea of global cooperation, and the article dives right into that. It suggests we need to totally shift how we think.
Yeah, you're right on. The author really thinks our current systems, like the political stuff and the economic structures, they're actually kind of holding us back from using AI to its fullest potential.
So it's more than just teaching AI to be good, it's about us changing the systems we've already built.
Exactly. Remember that superorganism idea? Well, the author's saying we need to move away from the way things are now, like individual countries or companies competing all the time.
Yeah.
Instead, we got to start thinking more like one big organism, working together.
Okay, that does sound kind of idealistic, but I get how that connects to, aligning AI's goals with ours.
Yeah.
If we're all on the same page, it's definitely easier to agree on what those goals even should be.
And it's not just about being nice or whatever. The article makes this really strong point that it's about actual survival. These problems we're facing, like climate change and all the inequality, they're so huge and complex, right? We can't solve them with how divided everything is right now.
So then, how do we make this change? It feels like such a big, overwhelming thing.
Well, the author says we got to start with redefining our incentives. Right now, pretty much everything is built on short-term gains and, looking out for number one.
Yeah, I mean, businesses are all about maximizing profits, right? That's just how it works.
Right. But the article is saying we need to start rewarding ways of thinking that are more long-term and focus on what's good for everyone, collective well-being. So instead of just caring about profits, companies could prioritize things like their environmental impact or their impact on society. Governments could make policies that are about sustainability.
Okay, I can see that. But that would be a huge change, like how we think about success for ourselves, but also as a whole society.
It definitely would. But the article makes a good argument. It's saying this is essential if we want AI to benefit everyone, not just a select few.
That's a good point. It's like right now, a lot of tech feels like it only benefits certain people.
Right, right. And the article specifically talks about a global alliance to guide how AI is developed.
That sounds really challenging, though, given how things are in the world right now.
For sure. It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
But the author says the benefits would be huge. Imagine everyone pooling their resources, all the best minds working together to create AI that could tackle climate change or global poverty.
It's hard to imagine countries cooperating like that right now. But I guess if you're really skeptical about global cooperation, the article says if we don't work together, then things could go in a really bad direction, like using AI to make existing inequalities and conflicts even worse. Whoa, that's dark. It's like what we're afraid of will actually happen because we're afraid.
Yeah, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah.
right? If we come at AI with fear and distrust, that's exactly what we'll get.
That's a good point.
The article stresses that we need to have hope, see all the potential, but also be careful and humble. We got to remember AI is a tool. Like any tool, you can use it for good or you can use it for bad stuff.
It all comes back to that AI is a mirror thing, right? Showing us our good side and our bad side. If we want AI to be a force for good, then we have to be good too.
Yeah, that's the challenge and the opportunity. This article gets you thinking about the big questions, doesn't it? Like, what does it even mean to be human in the 21st century?
It does. It's not just about the tech side of AI. It's about, our values and how those will shape the future. But where do we go from here? How do we even start making these changes? So we've talked about the big challenges with AI, the big picture stuff, and how we need to really think about who we are as humans. But I know you're also excited about AI doing good in the world, and the article does point to some pretty awesome stuff that's already happening.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to get caught up in all the what-ifs and the scary possibilities, but there are so many inspiring ways people are using AI right now to actually make a real difference.
Like what? Give me some specifics. What are some places where AI is already doing good?
Well, healthcare is a big one. AI is being used to diagnose diseases earlier and more accurately, helping doctors develop personalized treatments and even speed up, drug discovery and stuff.
So AI is helping us live longer, healthier lives. That's pretty amazing. I remember reading something about AI helping with cancer research, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There are AI systems that can look at tons of medical images and genetic information to find patterns and possible treatments that humans might miss. It's changing how we deal with some of the, toughest diseases.
That's incredible. What about other areas? I know you're interested in environmental stuff. Does the article mention any of that?
It does. AI is being used in conservation to track endangered species, keep an eye on deforestation, and even make sure we're managing resources the best way possible. It's helping us understand and protect the planet in ways we couldn't have done before.
It's like AI is giving us a superpower to deal with these massive problems.
It is a super powerful tool, for sure. But we can't forget, it's not magic. It works best when it's working with people, with human experts who are actually out there, doing the work on the ground.
That makes sense. We can't just sit back and expect AI to fix everything for us. But it definitely feels like it could change the game in a lot of areas. The article also talked about education, didn't it?
Yeah, AI is being used to personalize learning, give students feedback right away, and make it possible for more people around the world to actually get an education. It could totally change learning as we know it, empower people with knowledge in a whole new way.
All of this is really inspiring. It's great to hear about all the good stuff AI can do, after all that talk about the risks.
Yeah, it's important to remember that at the end of the day, AI is a tool. And like any tool, you can use it for good things or you can use it for bad things. It's all about how we develop it and how we choose to use it.
So it's not about the tech itself, it's about our choices.
Exactly. We need to be aware of the downsides, like bias creeping into the algorithms or the possibility of jobs being lost. and we need to figure out how to deal with those things.
Which reminds me, you're worried about AI taking over jobs. The article talks about that too, right?
Yeah, it does. Job displacement is a real concern. And it's something we need to think about seriously and, plan for. We need to invest in education and training programs so people can adapt to the new jobs that will be out there. Maybe even think about new economic models, like universal basic income, that take into account how automation is changing things.
It sounds like we need to get ready for a future where work is really different from what we're used to. That can be scary, but also kind of exciting, don't you think?
Totally. AI is making us rethink a lot of our ideas about how the world works. It's challenging us to be more creative, more adaptable.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI's warning, I'm feeling, cautiously optimistic. Like AI has the potential to be this amazing force for good, but it also throws some really big challenges our way.
I think that sums it up perfectly. We need to be hopeful, but cautious.
Yeah.
And above all, remember that the future of AI isn't set in stone. We're all creating it together through the choices we make. So if you're listening, think about what role you want to play. Educate yourself, talk about these things, and demand that AI is developed and used in an ethical, responsible way.
The future of AI is in our hands, and who knows what we could do if we use it wisely.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a wild ride exploring all the possibilities and the potential pitfalls of AI. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.